Gustafson to come up, and she is going to present the city with an award.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, city councilors. I'm Teresa Gustafson. I'm the urban forester for the city of LeGrande, and I have news to share about our community forest. And I thought rather than just making you look at me, I would share my screen. So LeGrande has been certified as a Tree City USA for 2023. The Tree City USA program is sponsored by the Arbor Day Foundation and the U.S. Forest Service, and it provides national recognition and support for urban forestry programs. So to be certified as a Tree City USA, there's 4 standards that you have to meet. The first standard is to have a tree commission and a city forestry program. The members of our LeGrande Community Landscape and Forestry Commission are Jennifer Williams, Chair, Steve Clements, Vice Chair, Robert Henderson, Tony Smith, and Leah Spiegel. And they volunteer their time to help guide LeGrande's urban forestry policy, and they also plant trees. So the second Tree City USA standard is to have a tree care ordinance. Our current ordinance is available on the city website, and there's also our community forestry program guide that goes along with it. The third Tree City USA standard is to have an annual urban forestry budget of at least $2 per capita. And in 2023, the city of LeGrande invested $18 per citizen on our urban forest. And then the fourth standard is to have an annual Arbor Day proclamation and event. And so part of the documentation that's required to qualify as a Tree City USA is to do a community forest report. And this is kind of a state of the trees address. And so it's available on the city website. And I thought I would just share a couple of highlights from the report. So as of 2023, the end of 2023, we had 5,068 trees in our public tree inventory. And you can see on this table down here that the most common species is maple, and so we've been working on diversifying our species list. The graphic here shows the trees by zone. The city's divided into 6 management zones. This is a picture of our tree inventory map. And so the tree inventory map allows us to identify areas of low tree canopy, and it kind of guides our planting programs. So planting in 2023, we planted 184 total trees in our public right-of-ways and green spaces. Let's see, establishment 3 years after planting, we do a survey of those new trees to see what the survivability is. And last year, our mortality went up a little bit. We had 10% mortality of those trees planted 3 years ago. And I think a lot of that had to do with the heat dome that we had in 2021. Okay, maintenance, in 2023, we had 742 trees pruned, public trees pruned. That doesn't count the trees that OTEC prunes for power line clearance. And so we had 68 trees that had to be removed. That's still a pretty good ratio, 2.7 trees planted for every tree removed. Part of my job is public outreach. This is just a list of events and activities that we did last year. And then, of course, another big part of my job is to help folks take care of their trees. We had 266 requests for help and information about trees in the urban forest last year. This was last year's numbers. Now we are up to 30, excuse me, let me get on the right page here. 34 years as a Tree City USA as of 2023. And LaGrande has received 32 consecutive Tree City USA Growth Awards. That's more than any other Oregon city and second in the nation. So the Growth Award requires that a city complete a required number of activities that advance the urban forestry program. Last year, our activities included an urban forestry internship, Grow LaGrande tree planting events, young tree training program, and ordinance enforcement updates. And of course, as a staff of one, I rely on our Grow LaGrande volunteers to help plant trees and do other projects. In 2023, we had a total of 195 volunteer hours. So pretty successful year, no major storms, so that's always a bonus. Let's see, let me go back here. All right, so now for this year, for recognizing Arbor Day, we are doing the poster contest again, and you can see these are copies of the winning posters up here on the dais. Our poster contest theme this year was Trees Are for the Birds. And so the intent was to help students learn about the important role that trees play for providing habitat for birds in our urban areas. So all of the posters, everybody that did a poster, they're all up in the library, and they'll be up there for the whole month of April. That's Oregon Arbor Month. And then on National Arbor Day, we will be having a field trip day for the kids, and they'll get to come and do some tree and bird related events. And let's see, the last thing I just wanted to share was that our spring community tree planting day will be May 4th. The Grow LaGrande volunteers will be working toward our annual goal of planting 100 trees in the city. And so if you would like to help grow our community, you can join us at the Parks Department at 9 a.m. on Saturday. Whoops, where's my cursor? There it is. Big reveal. Saturday, May 4th. Okay. So thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Where's that poetry?
Oh,
Can we
that's
do the photo op just really quick?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
600 trains.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Want you printed it?
All right, here we go, right here, 1, 2, 3. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
It's a long walk.
All right, so our next will be Ryan Lucken from Ziply.
An evening of awards and certifications tonight to get started. Good evening, everybody. My name is Ryan Lucken. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at Simply Fiber. As you know, Simply Fiber first engaged the City of LaGrande back in 2021 with the intent of bringing a new state-of-the-art fiber optic network to your residents and your businesses. The importance of a fiber optic network for communities, whether it's large or small, cannot be overstated. I think many of us, including myself, are old enough to remember when internet was in one room on one computer, and if your mom got on the phone, you got disconnected. We've come a long way. Fiber is one of the things that allows us to do telemedicine, to work from home when we need to, so that the entire family can be online at the same time without anyone having buffering or issues, when the entire neighborhood can be online at the same time. You're not mad at your neighbor for using up all the bandwidth. So we've come a long way. Here to tell you guys tonight, the network that we built here in LaGrande serves over 5,000 addresses with thousands of customers, with many more yet to build. I just noticed when I pulled up that our building happens to be across the street, which I didn't know. Late in 2023, we introduced a new tier of service. It's 50 gig up and down. The vast majority of us will never need anything that fast, but it's there for the future. That development, us introducing that, means that any city that has access to that speed tier can claim to have the fastest internet anywhere in America, and that is true for LaGrande. So once we had met that threshold, we went through and certified it next door. So LaGrande, Oregon can make the claim now that they have the fastest residential internet anywhere in the country. So we have that award here, and we will leave this letter of certification with you, signed by our CEO. So we're very excited. You guys are the first city that we've certified anywhere in our 4 states. And we look forward to serving you guys for decades to come. So congratulations. And if there's any questions about Simply, you can, because there usually are. I'm happy to take them here. You can find me afterwards, but congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll leave this somewhere where it's out of the way.
All right. So at this time, we will have public comment. With public comment, any item that is not on our agenda tonight is definitely this time. You have a 3-minute time limit, so please step up to the podium, put your name and address on the paperwork, and let us know who you are.
Okay, hi, my name is Sarah Marcotte. I am the new Executive Director for LaGrande Main Street, and I'm really excited to take on that position. One of the things that we have planned for April 20th is a community cleanup project. And for that community cleanup project, what I'd like to ask is for matching funds for a couple of the expenses that we're going to be looking towards getting for our volunteers to basically come around, clean up the town, pick up trash, replant planters, just make things more beautiful than they already are. So we're just trying to keep LaGrande lovely. And some of our expenses we have covered by Parks and Rec. They're going to be lending us vests and trash pickers. But some of the expenses that we're looking towards are for trash bags, for gloves, because last year we actually did not have enough gloves for all of our volunteers, and we want to make sure that nobody's picking up trash barehanded. For rakes and brooms, if possible, because that could help us a little bit with getting harder to access trash. Luckily, we have a lot of vests that are provided for us by Parks and Rec, but we would like possibly to get a first aid kit and hand sanitizer for any unforeseen injuries that might occur while picking up trash along the road. And because I have this year started the Sponsor a Native Plant Initiative, where you can donate $30 and you can get a native plant that we're cooperating with PlantWorks in Cove. And we're going to be getting those plants, and we'll put the plant in, we'll put the dirt in, you just give us a place to plant it. So we would like to get trowels and small gardening equipment to possibly assist in that with some of our volunteers, replanting plants for those people who asked for those donations. So what we're asking for is the possibility of bringing our receipts to the council and getting a match of around possibly up to $2,000. It'll probably be closer to about 1,000. So would that be a possibility to get matching funds?
I have a question.
Yes,
Can some of the volunteers kind of bring their own like gloves and,
we can absolutely
and
ask
stuff like
them
that?
to.
Because
Yes.
trash, I mean, that's just easy because that would cut some of the cost as well.
We could definitely do that, and we can put that on our flyer. Please bring your own gloves and trash bag,
Mhm.
and that will cut some of the costs. Just for any unforeseeable costs, we were wondering if that would be a possibility to get matching funds.
Fortunately, the county has a program where they will also match funds for cities. So I think between the county and the city, we should be able to help out.
Okay,
So if you can give me some more detail offline, that'd be great.
absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay.
Hey everybody, my name is Evan Humphrey. I'm a resident of Grande. Thanks for your guys' time. I am here because I've been keeping up with the news on the sidewalks and city improvement and the gas tax and everything else. I'm a father of a 3-year-old son, and me and my wife and my son walk often, and we've been here for a long time. And unfortunately, the lack of sidewalks everywhere, especially to schools, seems to be kind of an issue that now that I'm a parent, I see. And so with the Safe Roads to Schools program, I'd like to continue to see that pursued, if that's possible. I think it would be greatly beneficial to the community and for the future of the Grande. So with that said, thank you for all the work. I understand that none of this happens overnight and that there's a lot of work to be done in that direction. But I do believe there's a lot of resources out there for this, and with enough effort, I'm sure we can improve the roads and sidewalks and make for better, safer streets. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
I've got a couple of hangups here.
Thank you.
These are just clips from the Safe Roads to School
Oh,
report. They're just straight from the final report. And then the last page is just some pictures of a particular intersection that I took this morning.
So my name is Sarah Anderson. I live here in La Grande, and I have a kid that goes to Central Elementary and a 3-year-old that hopefully will go there too. And I just want to encourage the city to keep working on safe routes to school, on biking and pedestrian safety around town. In particular, I've highlighted a few excerpts from the final report, focusing on 2nd and H Avenue, an intersection that, if we note in the site circulation on Central Elementary, students were observed arriving on foot from all directions. The majority are using the intersection of H Avenue and 2nd Street to access the school. You'll notice H Avenue is on the suggested route map that's down below. Again, this is all from the original report, so I know the resolution's not the best. This is just clipped, but it's on the suggested route with missing or partial sidewalk. And on the recommendations page, you'll note we have the responsible agency, City of La Grande, priority level. I've highlighted a couple of short-term and a midterm priority level for 2nd Street and H Avenue, where they suggest installing school speed limit assemblies with flashing beacons, installing raised sidewalks, installing and improving the crosswalks basically around 2nd Street and H Avenue. The details in there. But from the pictures you'll see on the last page, most of those suggestions have not been implemented yet. So I would just like to encourage the city to keep moving forward on what has been highlighted as high priority for these areas, especially since it's an elementary school, lots of little kids, lots of big vehicles. And you'll note that
this is also the same area where folks drive by for drop off, right? So a lot of times you have a lot of cars and you have a lot of kids. Now the pictures on that last page, that's just from me there during school. So you can see all the infrastructure and note that there's only one street light. They suggest that there should be one on each corner. You'll note the crosswalks haven't changed since the 2020 picture there from when they first did the assessment. So I would just really like to encourage the city to keep working on that. And I also highlighted the pages where they talk about funding opportunities. So that's chapter 5 in the Safe Routes to School. There are a lot of funding opportunities, and I sure hope we haven't exhausted them all, but that we keep working on it because I think this is important and really makes the city's a great place to live. I'd like to help make sure that it is safe for kids to go to school. So thank you very much for your time and your service.
Thank you.
you.
All right. Any more comments?
Hi, my name is Tammy Donovan, and I am here. Well, I'm with the local homeschool community, and we are getting some information in the last week on the truancy thing. So this may or may not be the time to be discussing this, but because we're getting information late and not knowing all the specifics, we have questions. But I'll hold off those questions. But one of the things I wanted to address is on the flyer or the letter that we got, it indicated that the private schools are specifically excluded from that truancy ordinance, but the homeschooling community was not. And the kids that are within that,
Mayor,
we
if I
have.
could interject, this is actually some
Part of our
It's an
agenda.
agenda. It's an agenda.
It is,
item,
okay.
so
Yeah,
if you
so the
could just
best time
hold on.
is wait to that point.
Okay,
and there
that
will
was my
be
question.
comments at that point as
Oh,
well.
perfect. Okay, great. Never mind.
Is there anybody else that would like to make a comment on something that is not on the agenda? Nope. All right. We will open up to public hearings. Our first one will be considering resolution consenting to the union. Did I jump over? Yes, I did. Sorry. Wrong one. All right, now I'm on the right page. Sorry. Public hearing and first reading by title only of process ordinance adopting and enacting new codes of ordinances. So with that, I would like to open the public hearing and ask the city recorder to read the rules of order in its entirety.
These rules of order are applicable to the public hearing for proposed ordinance adopting and enacting new code of ordinances for the city of LaGrande. This is a legislative hearing, therefore counselor ex parte or pre-hearing contact does not apply. The hearing will proceed as follows. The mayor will open the public hearing and request a staff report. The mayor will then accept public testimony relating to the matter. There is a 3-minute time limit for testimony. The order of testimony this evening will begin with that of proponents, those in favor, followed by opponents, those opposed, and ending with those neutral to the ordinance being adopted. The proceedings are being electronically recorded to be converted to written minutes. When testifying, please step to the podium and clearly print your name and address on the speaker sign-in sheet. Please state only your name before addressing the council. Members of the city council may ask questions of the staff at any time. Subsequent to deliberation, the mayor will close the hearing.
Thank you. And with that, can we have the staff report, Robert?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Currently, the city council will pass an ordinance. It will repeal a prior ordinance, and let's say it's about painting the rocks in town purple. And they changed them to green. And then 5 years later, they pass another ordinance repealing the original one and changing them to painting all the rocks yellow. If you don't happen to grab the right ordinance when you're wondering what color rock should be painted, you might be an ordinance or two behind. And so all of our ordinances are maintained by the city recorder. But there are times when we'll have an update and it may or may not make it down to a given department. There may be some confusion. And the way to solve that is to take all of our general ordinances and combine them into a single city code, not creating any new laws, but that code then becomes essentially all of the ordinances in a consolidated location where you can jump on the city's website and you can say fence height, and it will take you to the appropriate current ordinance that talks about fence height. So we contracted with a company to Civic Plus to review all of our general ordinances to include the land development code, combine them into a single document, which is literally this thick. And the action before the council is to formally adopt that as the city code. There's a hard copy of that upstairs in the city manager's office if anybody wants to look at it. We provided a PDF of it to the council. The city council actually walked through a draft of this in a work session a number of months ago, and we're finally at the point where we're ready to start the process to go live with this. So you'll do the first reading this evening. At your next council meeting, hopefully we will adopt that code. It will then, for 30 days, go live, and it will make it so much simpler, I think, for everybody. I'm familiar with this process. I've gone through it in other communities, and it really makes a huge difference because you can go in and you're looking at something. There may be a Oregon revised statute that also applies to that. The hyperlink for that will be right online. That you would just click on that and go to that. So I think it's really going to be a benefit to the staff, but mostly to the citizens who have questions about what they can or can't do and what the rules are in Oregon. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Robert. At this time, I'd like to invite public testimony in favor, opposition, and neutral. There are none. Councilor discussion?
Yeah, it was a lot of reading, but it was good.
Perfect. At this time, could the city recorder read the proposed ordinance for the first time by title only?
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of LaGrande, Union County, Oregon, adopting and enacting a new code for the city, providing for the repeal of certain ordinances not included therein, providing a penalty for the violations thereof, providing for the manner of amending such code, and declaring an effective date.
Thank you. At this time, the public hearing is to continue to May 1st, 2024, at which time the proposed ordinance is scheduled to be read a second time by title only and considered for adoption. And with that, we have no unfinished business. We do have new business. The first one will be consider a resolution to consider to no, I'm on the right one this time. Considered to Union County Ordinance 2024-01, implementing measures to reduce incidents of truancy from Union County Public Schools. Can we have the staff report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So most of the presentation about what this means will come from George Mendoza and the team with the county. The action before the city council is to pass a resolution that would allow the county and the school district to enforce this ordinance within the city limits of LaGrande. Absent that, an ordinance that the county passes would not be enforceable within the city. So we're enabling the county, assuming the county adopts their ordinance, to move forward with this program. And I think rather than me trying to field your questions, I'll go ahead and turn it over to George Mendoza, and he can kind of explain to you in a little bit more detail what exactly it means.
Morning, yourself, and give you a quick review
document for you to just have.
Thank you.
We have a attorney Kelsey McDaniel to help answer any future questions. And then we got Sheriff Bowen to help us also answer any kind of ordinance citation processes that they would follow. And I also have our board chair, Randy Shaw, here with us. So City Manager Strope, Mayor Rock, councilors. My name is George Mendoza, School Superintendent, LaGrande School District, for the record. In terms of what you just received, it's kind of a beginning, middle, and end type of document so that you would have an understanding that part of it started from us seeing that Malheur County implemented an ordinance on chronic absenteeism. It became something in superintendent circles where we started to think about, what can we do to improve or address chronic absenteeism in schools. So we started having a process where we met with Union County superintendents. We had District Attorney McDaniels leading us with looking at ordinance and looking at what Malheur County had done, and then also looking at Crook County and their ordinance. We had Sheriff Bowen, we had county commissioners also attend. So County Commissioner Scarfo, I think, was within one meeting at least. And then I think we also had Commissioner Andrus with us as well. And we just looked at our attendance data to start for our school district. So when you see this, we have a way of already telling students and families and people it matters to show up. When you attend school regularly, you learn concepts and skills. You develop understanding of things that need to take place. You work with other students, you work with staff, you move forward things that need to move forward in terms of units of instruction. You don't fall behind. You graduate, you pass classes, all those simple things that happen when people show up. And usually we talk about you attend, you participate, and you pass. And if you can do those three things, it's hard not to graduate. It's hard not to be successful. And so we do social media and we send all kinds of flyers. And if you look at some of our signs that we put out there, yard signs, if you look at some of the signs that we have in our schools, we're telling people it's important for their children to show. We have green zone strategies. We have yellow zone strategies. We put data in front of people. In our school district, last school year, we were at about 62% of our students were regular attenders. What that meant is 38% of our students were non-regular attenders or chronically absent. That means they missed 17 days of school or more. 38%. It is hard for people to be successful when they're gone a lot. And so the reality is we also moved away from the ability to give any kind of citation or fine. And this process allows us to have some level of citation or fine if you approve it as your resolution. I think in general, the reality is we don't really want to fine anyone. And we're comfortable with the judge making a determination if they want to impose a fine or not. The reality is, back to the green zone, we can have classroom activities, we can have rewards, we can have incentives and celebrations and kudos and all kinds of things that tell people we're thankful that they're here. That doesn't make them always show up still. And when we're in yellow zone, it's meetings with children, it's meetings with families, it's creating plans, it's talking about the importance, it's what can we do, what's getting in the way, what's the next step so that we can support you to get to school, and we do those types of things. And even then after that, we'll have letters that we send home, and those start to be our red zone, and that's us telling families, you're out of compliance with the law, you're out of compliance with our policies, let's make a plan. And then we formalize plans with parents and we formalize plans with students, and we do our best to get them to still come to school. But that doesn't always still change the behavior. And the reality is we felt like at the highest part of our red zone is having the ability to give a citation, to have a meeting with the judge, and for us to talk about their attendance and to see what we can do to get that to change, to get the behavior to change. Everything that we've done is in alignment to our laws. Just as because I know I've been asked this several times, by law, just to make it clear, for ORS 339065, a pupil sickness. So this is excused by principal or teachers, but by principals in our school. A pupil sickness, including mental health and behavioral health, is excused. It does not count in chronic absenteeism. The sickness of somebody, of a student's family member or themselves counts as an excuse, or an emergency counts as an excused absence. So it's not just anything. But those are the things that we're going to automatically excuse. They still might be chronically absent because they're missing a lot of days, but the reality is we're not going to do anything or create any harm for people that are sick, or if they have emergencies. But there are times where we have people that miss 15%, 20%, 30% of school. And those are the people that we want to have some deeper conversations and see what we can do to change behavior. I'd like to have Randy Shaw, our board chair, just for Randy to give any perspective from the school board, and then if Cody would share anything, or Kelsey.
George is a way better speaker than I am, and I won't repeat what he said, but LaGrande School Board 100% supports this. Superintendent Mendoza and his team have worked really hard the last, let's just say 2 years, it's been longer than that, on attendance, making it a very high priority.
I'll address some questions before they're asked, just because we've done a couple of these beforehand already. Some of the questions that have come my way is does this mean law enforcement is going to be out harassing the kids when they see them on the side of the road during school times? Well, absolutely not. It's not going to impose any more burden on law enforcement officers, school resource officers at all. And I'll let Ms. McDaniel get into this, but there used to be a process where we would assist the school as far as citations or truancy concerns. And we've continued to do that. We'll still continue to do that. And it's no other burden on us. We're not looking at kids that are in private school or homeschool or anything like that. There's separate laws that dictate that and address those issues. So just Union County Public Schools is what we're looking at here.
Excuse me, my name is Kelsey McDaniel. I'm the district attorney for Union County, and was kind of voluntold into helping out with this. These ultimately would come to the Union County Circuit Court, so my office would be involved. I just wanted to point out that this is very similar to the law that existed in Oregon already up until 2021. There was a Senate bill in 2021 that repealed or took out a portion of the law that allowed fines to be incurred on kids. That's not what this does, but for some reason it was included in that package and came out of that law. There have been legislative attempts to remedy that. This last session, I testified in favor of them, and they did not make it out of committee. So this is Union County taking it into our own hands to try to make sure that we're doing what we can on this issue. To reiterate what Cody said, or excuse me, Sheriff said, it does not apply to online, homeschool, or private schools, and that's included in the law in terms of the definitions specifically. And I just want to say that I appeared on these quite a bit before 2021, and this is a tool, but it's supposed to be used, and I intend for it to be used as an absolute last resort. There are many parents that were very grateful to be cited so that the judge could have a conversation with their older student about the importance of school. I think off the top of my head, I can only remember one fine ever being imposed. The judges have typically been very creative in terms of listening to what the school district says, listening to what the family says, and then applying that to the specific youth or the child about what that family needs to get that kid into school. Maybe that's joining a sports team. Maybe that's coming and showing their attendance records to the judge during the lunch hour. There have been some really outside the box solutions that have been effective, and the fine really is as a last resort. I also just wanted to mention briefly, I can think of one scenario in which the citation process, I believe, saved a child's life because there was no one asking the questions or following up or going to that home to find out what was going on behind closed doors before an administrator showed up to issue a citation and found out that that child was not in a safe home. And so there's actual empirical evidence that this is something that is going to increase student attendance, but also increase the tools that the school district and our community as a whole can have to make sure that students are successful and also safe. Thank you.
If you have any questions.
Yes, I do. Okay, so I know that if illness and so forth is excused, do we have a plan? Like my grandson had cancer and he almost the whole school year because he was doing all these rounds. Do you have a system set up in case of something like that?
I would say it's case by case, but definitely if there are chronic conditions, we'll work and we'll meet with families, we'll meet with students. We'll create, whether it's online, whether it's homework, whether it's packet-based, we do a variety of things. We have hybrid schedules and online schedules that we can provide.
Okay.
I'll just say it's case by case, and we do work with students.
Okay, I was just checking that because I know that you did Zoom before, so I didn't know if that was still available.
And we
or
do
not.
have LeGrand Virtual Learning Academy. And then we also work with IMESD for high school, which is the IMESD Virtual Academy, and we have the ability for students to graduate through online.
Mayor, Councilor Dudo is on the line and she would like to chime in.
Okay. Go ahead, Corinne.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. So school attendance is, clearly directly linked to success in school and in graduation rates. Kids that graduate are less likely to commit crimes. They're less expensive to society. Parents are ultimately responsible for their children's attendance at school, and this is required by Oregon laws. Mr. Superintendent Mendoza stated, our community needs some accountability for the parents, and it's their responsibility to ensure that their children attend school. It sounds like the current messaging and efforts by the school district are not effective if 38% of the kids are chronically absent. So I've discussed this with two family members who are school administrators in other states, and they've stated these laws are really effective, and rarely do the parents get fined, but it gives them a tool and gives the parents incentive to get their kids to school. I expressed some concern with Superintendent Mendoza about absences due to illness or medical care, and he reassured me and gave me the ordinance, and I don't have it in front of me, that shows that medical absences are not unexcused absences, they're excused absences, so they are not covered by this ordinance. And the wording in the resolution does state that this involves only public schools, not private schools or homeschool students. So those were my concerns initially, and I think they've all been answered. And I did get an email, I think we all did, from Tracy McKenzie, and I think this addresses a lot of her concerns as well. So I just wanted to pipe in my thoughts on that.
Thank you. Any more questions for
So-
Superintendent?
I've read this and I don't see the exemptions here. So is that somewhere else where this is defined in some other code?
I believe, I'd have to see it again.
Because I'm not seeing,
I think
can you tell me where to find it in this?
I
'Cause
think
that wasn't readily evident.
it might not be in the resolution,
Okay.
but in the ordinance, we do have following ORS 339065.
Again, what we were supplied with does not, so far as I can tell, have that anywhere in the language.
Do you have a copy of the actual ordinance?
I have a copy of ordinance number 2024-01 is what it says.
Yes. So
Oregon
on
County
page
Commission.
2, under 1, authority and purpose, subsection 2, is the definition of what this application is. And it says that it applies to students in kindergarten through 12th grades enrolled in public school located in Union County. Then again, you have definitions of subsection 6, where it says student, that's at the bottom of the page.
Right.
Means a minor who has not completed 12th grade, 18, and is enrolled in public school in Union County.
Where's the health one?
Excuse me?
The preceding
one?
section, part 5,
Oh, no, he's asking.
well, 339065 is where it has the estimate of attendance.
Yeah,
and
chronically
attendance
absent,
and excuse. So that's that section.
That's gonna
Okay,
be on
okay,
page
and that I don't know that we had those particular definitions included in our packet.
The
That's
definition,
elsewhere.
so the exclusion of sick is actually contained in ORS 339.065, which is referenced
Okay.
under paragraph 5, sub 2A.
So
Okay.
it's not
In
explicit.
the
it's
future, it
referential.
would be nice if
Okay.
we have those contained in the packet, because that was a big question that I had, and it's nice to hear that reassurance. It's better if we have it in front of us and we can see it, see the language, because that's what we're being asked to vote on. My second question is, where do we come up with $500? Is there evidence for, because to me, that's an egregious amount. Like, I look at especially the families that are dealing with chronically truant students. How many of them could, regardless of what your intent is, we can't go off of what your intent is, Sheriff, and your intent is, DA. We can't, because you're elected officials. You will be replaced at some point in the future, and somebody else's intent could change from what your intent is. And so we have to look at this and say, realistically, these families could get fines of $500 to $1,000. Where that's, to me, seems like a really high amount. I understand what you're asking for and the need. Why $500? Why $1,000?
We are the third county in the state to consider taking on this project, and we mirrored the same penalties in terms of the financial as Crook County and Malheur County. On top of that, we put a lot of discussion under subsection 3 of the penalty section on the language. If you notice, it say the circuit court may impose a civil penalty. Some of the other language that we've seen proposed requires a penalty. That was very important to all the superintendents and community partners that it was may, and we were giving that discretion to the court. In addition to that, I believe it's Malheur County, it says it will be a $500, and we said, no, we would say up to $500 because we wanted that to be flexible and make sure that we are not creating a situation that you're described.
Right.
The other thing that I think is important to know that's outside of the scope of this document is that there's Oregon case law that a judge cannot impose a fine that is unrealistic for that particular defendant or person in front of them for their particular financial situation. So a judge is required to talk to an individual about what their income looks like or their financial status, and it would be unconstitutional for them to issue a fine even if it was within the scope of that $500 or $1,000, if it was unreasonable or egregious for them as an individual. And I would expect that that would be followed.
Right. The last question I have is, you've given anecdotal reports that this may help with students that, we're targeting with this. Do we have any hard data, studies that have actually shown the imposition of these ordinances actually makes a measurable change? And I take that too from the position of, I'm married to an educator. And the sad truth is, you can put a student in the classroom, but that doesn't always help the classroom environment. If you have a student there who is being forced to be there, who does not want to be there. And you have to consider the education of all of the students in that classroom environment. I realize we're trying to help one, but realistically, if you have a student who is engaging in this behavior, does not want to be a part of that, what are we really accomplishing here? By the time that student, it's different when you've got a kindergarten or first grader than when you've got a senior in high school.
Mm-hmm. I think, you great points, good things to be concerned about. In general, the theme or the message is you're on track to graduate by showing up. You're on level in reading when you're showing up. You're passing your classes when you're showing up. You're participating and you're being a part. You're engaging in school when you're showing up. And that's the goal. If they're not showing up, I would just say, we have to have these meetings no matter what. We have to help the child to get to school regularly. We have to create the pressure and support that's necessary for the change. But if that's still not working, we have conversations with parents that we say, this might not be what you want then. There's online schools, there's homeschool, there's other options for you, but you not showing up isn't an option that we are comfortable with. So we get to those types of discussions as well, and then we'll help them homeschool. And then we'll connect them to IME. And we'll connect them to get access to other types of curriculum. But it's not that we didn't, that's the last resort. That's the last thing that we've done. And we have had those types of conversations before when the child is not going to hold themselves accountable to any type of standard with us. We'll have GED conversations. We'll have all kinds of conversations, alternative school conversations, online school conversations, all the options that we can offer, we'll offer. But ultimately, if they're still not going to be accountable, there'll be a time where we have, would you like to homeschool or why don't you homeschool? Because this right here is not working. And as the older the child gets, the more we have personalized conversations on their credits, if they're on track, if they're not on track, and we have this option for you, this option for you, and this option for you.
Thank you for your answers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Very thankful. We're in negotiations. So we're gonna have
Oh, I do have a question. I'm sorry. Okay, so in the very beginning, I apologize. Justin Hernandez is the officer or the resource officer. In the very beginning, it talks about they kind of wanted to remove it from that and work through the principal. And so what exactly is that going to be part of his job still? Because it wanted to go to the principal, vice principal, or superintendent.
We'll definitely do green zone and yellow zone and a lot of red zone through our schools. And
Okay.
when we get to the very last piece of it, there'll be time for
Okay.
help with direct
Doesn't mean necessarily that they'll be excluded from that because
Okay.
Part of our partnership is we're right there with the kids on a day-to-day basis. And if they're doing one thing, we don't know what's going on, then we're going to contradict one another. So
Right.
the partnership will continue as far as meetings, that type of stuff, and knowing
Okay.
what's gone on, the shared information we'll be involved with.
Okay. Good. I was just wondering. Okay.
Thank you. At this time, we'd like to invite public comments. All right, there's none. Any more counselor discussion?
No, I completely support this. It's foundational to a civil society, and we've got to get these kids back in school, even if takes knocking on doors. We got to do it. I appreciate the work everybody's put into this. I think it's really smart, and it's probably overdue.
Motion.
I move that the proposed resolution consenting to Union County Ordinance 2024-01 be read by title only, put to a vote and passed.
Second.
Any additional discussion? At this time, can we have the city recorder to read the proposed resolution by title only?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of LaGrande, Union County, Oregon, consenting to Union County Ordinance 2024-01, implementing measures to reduce incidences of truancy from Union County Public Schools.
Thank you. At this time, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No opposed? Thank you. Appreciate your work. All right, we will move on to ratifying expenditures for fencing, installation, greenway, trail, extension property. Staff report,
Good
please.
job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. In the fall of 2023, we began to lay out the trail extension that we received a state parks grant for out of the Greenway on the two properties to the east of the dead end trail that exists today. During that process, a nearby property owner informed me of a sales agreement that she had that had some restrictions, including building a fence that I was unaware of. So we had kind of this unplanned expenditure. So this is before you today to approve that kind of unplanned expenditure based on our budget, our city policy. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Stu. Public comments? Counselor discussion. Motion.
I move to ratify the expenditure of $24,250 for fencing to be installed along the border of the Greenway Extension property and adjacent to the nearby property owners.
Second.
Any more discussion needed? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Vote. Thank you. All right, Union County Commissioners update.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilors. I do have a few things today at our meeting. We had the first reading of the county burn ordinance. I know it doesn't affect the city at all, but if anyone's watching online, that is part of the county. We did update that from the 2018 burn ordinance. We've made it a little slicker. I don't know if you've ever called in on it before. I know probably not in the city, but I encourage everybody. It's posted on our website to have a look at it. If there's any questions, please call us at the county, 541-963-1001. The second reading will be April 17th at 9:15. So if you want to show up to that, that's when the second reading will be. On the fairgrounds updates, Director McMahon, the OEM, Oregon Emergency Management Director, will be coming to Union County May 2nd to get a tour of the fairgrounds. Very exciting. I've been speaking with her on and off about bringing our project to the E-Board, and hopefully we'll get funded through the E-Board this year. The E-Board will be meeting in June, and I will be definitely pushing that to be on their agenda. Still on the same topic, this Monday at 5:30, the Friends of the Fair will be having a dinner at 5:30 at the fairgrounds. They're having tri-tip, I believe it's $30, and they'll have auction items, and it should be a pretty good time. I know we have a work session at 6 p.m., but I'll be doing both that night. And we're just gearing up for budget season like everybody else is. If there's any other questions, I think I hit everything.
Appreciate your time.
Remember, Monday, 5:30, tri-tip.
Thank you. Staff comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Two things. The Greenway Trail Extension project will be underway in, I think, fence contractor and the rest have to be ratified. That'll be here about the 1st of May. So then contractors follow that, Public Works and staff. So that should be completed by the end of June. And we received our final piece of match funding for the playground at Riverside locally. It's over 45 businesses and individuals that contributed. So huge, very grateful for the community support. There was no, Isabella and I talked about this today, and there just weren't a lot of people that said no. So it's just amazing effort by the committee and the community. It's been a huge effort. And when I turned in that grant application last Thursday for over $400,000 of state parks money, it had listed over 40 or 45 donors to that project, which is sort of like a slam dunk. Like, this community clearly wants this project, so we should just give them the money. So that's that decision won't be till September, and look forward to sharing that news when we get it. And then I was going to share that the pump track, which is kind of a project from a different group in partnership with the city that we have a different state park grant for that we received last year, will be under construction in July. We met with the contractor today, and he's got it laid out, and he's excited to bring his team here and get that going. If you don't know what that is, ask Nicole offline later.
I have a question for you. Is the restrooms now open, like at Bernie Park?
Yeah, yesterday, Bernie was the last one.
Okay, because we let people come into our office to use the restroom.
Yep.
Okay, even yesterday. So were they working on it yesterday?
Plumber was there yesterday.
Oh, okay, that's probably
There was
why.
a huge break in the freeze this winter.
Oh, okay.
So we had some major repair to do.
All right,
So
thank
it
you.
didn't open with the rest of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everything, water's on everywhere, even the sprinklers, but they're not running yet.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you, Stu.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and councilors. I'm pleased to share with you that our newest police officer, Officer Donovan Gonzalez, graduated from the Basic Police Academy last Friday. And it's quite an accomplishment. 4 months worth of intensive training. He's still doing field training here with us now, but it's nice to have him home. And this was, of all of the police academy graduations we have, this one was pretty special because our city manager was in the neighborhood and was able to stop and witness, attend the ceremony with Lieutenant Hayes. So, and that was very meaningful to our department and to Officer Gonzalez. So good news there. The other thing I wanted to share with you is Saturday, April 27th, we're doing our spring drug take-back event. That's at Safeway from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. You guys have heard me talk about this before. I don't think it's new to anybody in the community, but I like to speak about it and get as much information out as we can. It's a very successful program, but there's an opportunity to bring your unwanted, unneeded, expired drugs and medications, and you can drop them off completely anonymously, but we can safely dispose of them that way. That way we avoid the unwanted diversion that sometimes happens with those drugs, and also keep them out of our water system. If you can't make it on that day, we have a drug drop box in the lobby of the police department that's open and available 24 hours a day. And we also have a few around town, and we publicize that widely. So anyway, April 27th, Saturday.
What was the time again?
10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and we're in the Safeway parking lot. Yep. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Any other staff? City manager comments.
I have a couple, seven, maybe
Seven?
it's 4. If you haven't noticed your calendar, your Mondays are booked for the rest of the month. So if you can eat fast, you can go get your tri-tip as long as you're here by 6. Stacy and I are going to meet with the city attorney on Monday to talk about the draft charter revisions. One of the things that the county clerk brought up during the work session with the council referred to not confusing people about what positions are open and having language for that. So one of the things that we're looking at is currently, if we have someone that resigns from the council or is otherwise no longer on the council, depending upon how long there's left in the term, that position, if it's a certain period of time, has to go be elected for the balance of the term. And as we kind of saw in Baker City, there was a lot of confusion about who could appoint for what. So one of the things that we're going to talk to the city attorney about is, should we also just say that if there's a vacancy that the council would appoint for the balance of the term? That's the way it is done pretty much everywhere else in the county, as opposed to if it's less than 2 years, the council appoints for the balance of the term. You could have someone that resigns 2.5 years left. To me, it makes a lot of sense, particularly after talking to the county who actually runs the elections. It gets really confusing if you're appointing someone for the balance of a 2-year term, particularly with the change that we're looking at for the top 3 vote getters, all at large. Everybody goes to the general in the fall. So we'll talk to the city attorney on that. And you have a work session coming up where we'll kind of refine that. But I just wanted to give you a heads up about that element. City of LaGrande is hosting the League of Oregon City President regional meeting on the 18th. It's a lunch meeting for elected officials. If you are interested in attending and haven't had an opportunity to register, you can either jump on and do that or let us know that you want to attend, and we'll make sure that we get you plugged in for that. We're doing a budget committee tour on the 23rd of April. Yeah, Isabella, the council will not be making any decisions. If you want to ride along and spend the day, you're more than welcome to. We are going to start, I believe, at 8 in the morning, and it's going to pretty much be a full day to go around a lot of the facilities. The city council and the budget committee will be doing that. I think it's going to be really beneficial to see some of this. There's a number of councils. I probably haven't been up to the reservoir on the side of the hill or been out to the wastewater treatment plant. So we'll schedule the lunch at an appropriate time in that sequencing of what you're visiting. So really looking forward to that. Just finished up, actually this afternoon, the last individual meetings with department directors on their requested budget. So we're making progress towards the proposed budget. So looking forward to getting that put together so that we can do the budget committee meetings in hearings in May and then adopt in June. And I think that was my list. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Mhm.
Counselor comments? All right. I do have a proclamation I would like to read. I, Justin Rock, Mayor of the City of LeGrand, do here proclaim April 1st through April 30th as Arbor Month in the City of LeGrand, Oregon, and urge all citizens to support the efforts to care for and maintain our city's award-winning herbal forestry. And with that, I would like to adjourn our meeting.